3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Yo, we're back with episode 3 of Outside Influence. Today I got a real good friend of mine, like all of my guests. Got my boy, Suffix Al Woe.
What's up, baby?
Owner of EKL.
What's happening?
Producer, DJ. Man, you do a lot.
Doing it. Yeah,
So,
pleasure
how
to
you
be
been?
here, man. It's a serious honor to be on here
Oh, man,
amongst the other cats that have been on here and yourself, you know. So,
Word.
Yeah.
So, boom, we're going to get right into it, man.
all right.
The name Suffix. How'd you come up with that?
Okay, so this is like way back. I was super obsessed with like religious studies. Not super religious person, but just the idea and the history behind it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of has to do with the it's like see universal father unknown, which is like kind of means take what you know and teach it to others, which is like the whole equality, knowledge, and light thing.
Right.
And so it's like if you have knowledge or you're the father of some sort of knowledge, like you must pass it on or whatever. I was a little deeper then than I am now. To be completely
I've known you
honest.
for years, and I didn't even know it was that deep.
Yeah, it
That's
was just
crazy.
it's just an acronym, you know.
Word.
And yeah, that was it.
Word up. So, what made you want to get into music? Like, what was your spark into music?
I grew up outside the city, South Towns, very rural. Like we had cows and shit at my house. Since kindergarten, I've been listening to Tribe Called Quest, Tupac, Wu-Tang, all that stuff. When Midnight Marauders came out, I was like 5 or 6,
Great
and
album.
I had it when it came out because of
Yeah.
my brother. He's 10 years older than me. And so I had always been into stuff. Like I had always been into music, always been into hip hop. And, I didn't realize the treasures that those albums were, obviously.
Right.
But he later, when I was maybe 15 or 16, and you're like supposed to be saving to buy a car, he helped a buddy of his do this documentary and became really good friends with the guy who made Scratch.
Oh,
The-
really?
you know, yeah.
The DJ.
Yep. And so I got like halfway through that movie. I went upstairs online with little change I had, and I like took my mom's credit card and I bought a set of turntables.
Oh, word.
And that was it.
Shout out to mom.
Shout out to
Shout out
mom
to
for
mom.
real. She wasn't too happy. It's not the last time that I had to use the charge card to buy some gear, you know.
You know, I've gotten in trouble a few times for buying some things with
Yeah.
my mom's card.
That's right. That's right.
I was like, I'll pay her back.
You know?
Like, I'll be on punishment for a little
Yeah,
while.
I'll pay you back. You know, eventually it might
Do some chores.
put me on the payment plan, you know? Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
So, what was your first experience in the Buffalo scene doing hip hop?
So I would DJ downtown for like CEJ when I was in high school, like that's a Coalition of Economic Justice. I would DJ trip hop and like real low key stuff for certain events at the convention center. And then just like stuff around town. And then when I was a freshman in college, I went to Buff State, met like Dr. Ooh, who is he? I had already known, but he lived right around the corner.
Yeah.
And so started making stuff and we started booking shows. We won the Art Voice, like kind of their battle of the bands for the city.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, we won.
As a hip hop group?
Yeah, as a hip hop group, which was
Word,
pretty cool.
That's cool, yeah.
And that was my entry point into everything. I mean,
Nice.
obviously we met like all those cats and the Broadway Joes people, and yeah, that was
Word.
it. But
So this kind of goes into the next question, I guess. When did EKL start?
so, yeah, EKL started 11 years ago, technically. We'll say on paper.
Well, let's say off paper. When did it, the collective start?
Really, like, so I started making clothes and doing it as trying to get this kind of culture company to develop. Like, really 10 years ago is when I started taking it seriously, and switched everything to equality, knowledge, and light. Tried to do music in a vein and clothes in a vein where like they were in conjunction together. So if someone liked one, hopefully they'd like the other. And yeah, that was like we had a chicken coop going back to the cows. So we had an old chicken coop and we cleaned it out. That was like my studio for a bit. Had like tons of MPCs and records in there. And then
is that out where the barn is?
So then everything moved to the barn.
Okay.
Yeah, the notorious barn. So we went from the chicken coop to the barn. And that was like, yeah, it was crazy. When I moved to the barn, it was all hay at one point, and I built like a structure inside the barn to have half screen printing and half be like the jelly jar of the studio. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people like mad
guys,
cats from Buffalo.
This barn, you drive up to it, you see this huge red barn. Yeah. First thing you see is a pond and a half pipe. So you're like, yo, this is a cool place.
Yeah. It's a wild
you go
place.
up, you pull the string, then the stairs come down.
Drawstring. Yeah, it was like a secret entrance.
It was super cool.
And
man.
for the longest time, it was only the back half of the barn, so you had to walk through like hay and canoes and like crazy shit to get back there. And then you get in, and it was like fully finished drywall, moldings.
Yeah, beautiful studio.
Yeah, it was a cool spot.
Like that was one of the first professional studios me and Gaines came through back in the day. So like we're like, yeah, like we're going, and we're taking that drive. Remember one time it was snowing terribly.
Yeah,
and we drove. Like, we're going out there. I don't care.
I remember you guys like going off the driveway or something, which was not the first and not the last. There were a lot of times where cats would come out and it'd be like 3-4 in the morning, and you look outside and it's like, it's still snowing. Like, guess we're still making beats.
We're still making music.
Yeah, it was an experience, but
Definitely
it was
a
little culture hub, I think, which was cool.
Yeah.
So I had cats come from like New York City to go there. People come from Albany. It was an interesting thing. And I think people were real surprised when they got there, like, what am I doing out here?
Yeah. You go out to the woods and you're just in this nice place.
Yeah.
So like you've done music with Mad Dukes, done music with Dr. Who, myself.
Yeah. The biggest stuff I've done is probably with the Don't Sleep dudes.
Don't Sleep, yeah.
And that's A1 is a tight homie of mine. I met those cats. They invited me down to they rented an apartment in New York City for like a weekend, and I met them just like they were buying merch, EKL merch, and I was buying their albums and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And I ended up doing a bunch of music with them, and they like right after that were #1 on iTunes for hip hop for like a couple days, and they've done that like a bunch of times repeated.
Yeah.
So outside the city, my music has probably reached more like ears than inside the city.
Like all of us.
Yeah,
Most of us,
So it's like my accomplishments outside the city, I think, are greater, but I'm definitely like, personally, my craft is definitely better because of all the people like you're immediately surrounded with,
Right.
So, yeah, definitely, but all production, like, I stick to the beats, that's where it is for me.
Well, even now we're going to talk about production and why I think you're a mad scientist. So let's talk about this game you made a few years ago.
Man.
The Chronic. I forgot what you call it. But basically, guys, he made a game, put Dr. Dre music in it.
I'd love to speak on that. That's my favorite piece that I put together out of anything. So under another pseudonym, I go by Mind Roams, and that's my, shouldn't say it out loud, but that's my more on the fence of legal stuff, Yeah. So I started sampling. I got an old Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I had, all this old gear like the ASR and the MPC and everything. And I just plugged the Nintendo in and play and try to like take these little sound bites. And it turned into all the Castlevania songs were like amazing to sample, and Zelda and everything. And I try to do it out of the box. So I try to play the game. Those games are tough, man. Yeah. So I'd call my homie up and be like, yo, Adam, like, Haggard, you gotta beat this shit for me. I can't get to this level, but I know there's a gem sitting there.
Yeah.
So I sampled all these games, and I took the Chronic 2001 and I filtered. There's only like 2 or 3 acapellas available, and I took the rest and like filtered what I could and made an album of them rhyming over the beats. And then I was like, I'm gonna make a music video, and I'll make Dre and Snoop like Mario and Luigi running through the level. And then I thought about it, and it's like, what if each level, like instead of a music video, each track, there's like 9 tracks, each track had its own level, and like you could play it like a game. And so I stupidly, I mean, I'm happy about it now, but then, I was like,
man.
oh, it was tough. So I went down the rabbit hole, learned how to code, went to like a few places around town that were like coding kind of spots where people would share like how to make a video game. And I went to school for web coding. So I made this game. It's all web coding. You can play it on the internet, and you are Dr. Dre, and you go through like it's fully coded from scratch, but it uses sprites, which are the images of like characters. Like, so Mario's a sprite. He uses all original sprites from Castlevania, and you go through as Dre with the beats playing, and he's rapping, and you like collect little weed tokens to power up, and you you kill like zombies and shit, and it's like kind of the first. I mean, I don't know of anything else really that is an interactive remix of like that's a full album remix with a full game, kind of where it's like an immersive remix experience, where you're using all the elements like 100% across the board. So it took me a year. I started it in like March, and then I finished it in March of the next year and had like a big kind of gallery opening.
Yeah, I was there for that. That was pretty amazing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like it. It was a cool project. I just actually kind of messaged on Reddit like recently, and it was this dude who goes, I play Castlevania every year, and I just wanted you to know that for the last 2 years, I've played your game right after I finish it. I'm like, yo, that's tight. That's tight. So yeah, it was a cool experience, and the album got a couple shares and got a decent amount of hits and stuff. So I was pretty fortunate for that.
Word up. So we've pretty much hit everything as far as like what you do, as far as business, producer, clothing line. What do you do outside of that? Like what does Al do with the family, or when he has free time?
I have 2 boys, so I spend a lot of time with my family, 3 and 1, and my wife is she's fortunate enough to also work for herself, so we spend a lot of time together. But I mean, I do a lot of extracurricular activities, I guess you could say. Pretty bad when it comes to hobbies. So lately I've been building arcade cabinets, like full-size arcade cabinets, and like collecting parts from like Japan and everything. And found a dude who has a barn with a ton of them. So I've been remaking NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat. I got a Donkey Kong, Dr. Mario.
You're just gonna
like I made one from custom. So I got like 7 cabinets.
Nice.
Dungeons and Dragons. I just got new artwork for today. So yeah, it's Turtles, Ninja Turtles,
man.
And then I've been building scooters as well. So that's like I take these like little scooters and make my own parts and get them milled and like machined, and a lot of like Japanese culture stuff, oddly. Even though I'm pretty far from being Japanese, like I find myself obsessed with the culture, and for some reason end up doing things that kind of resemble it outside of music and stuff,
Yeah.
For me, like I used to have some issues with it, but being creative, like making beats, I have a lab at the house, and I make beats pretty regularly, even though I don't put anything out necessarily, or like I'll just sit at the turntable sample or sit at the keys. But as long as I'm being creative in some vein, like it's all the same to me. It's more about fulfillment than it is putting something out there.
Building something.
Yeah. So like if I complete, like a scooter project, it's wildly different, but it's like, yo, I made this shit. Like it keeps me sharp,
Yeah.
So
I always loved your lowrider that you.
That
was my favorite car.
Yeah. Still building cars a little bit too, and I'd like to stay busy. So, yeah.
Definitely. So we're gonna wrap this up. This will be the last, I guess, question or piece. What advice would you have for, say, maybe yourself 10, 15 years ago, for the kid watching this right now, for the DJ watching, the printer?
That's tough. There's a lot of things I think we've all done wrong, right? Especially myself. I think staying is it's cliche, but I mean, I'm sure you hear it enough, but like staying as true to yourself as possible. Not being afraid to have outside influence, oddly enough, like that's definitely, it's great to pull from things that are accessible, but doing what you like and not being not being tied down by anything. Like, you know, making music especially should be fun.
Right.
Making art should be fun. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, get really like stressed out about it or feel like they need to put something out, or thanks to social media, which is great. You know, people are like, I gotta do an update or do this or do that.
Yeah.
And I just, I think it's important to just stay really focused on your craft and be as good as possible and enjoy as much of it as possible. Because, man, when you get older and family comes around and stuff, it changes and that time dwindles and you really start to appreciate it. So
for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Just staying on a straight and narrow track, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
Word up, y'all. Anything you want to plug into the people? Anything you got coming? Any new
I'm
where
you
can
know,
they contact you? How about that?
Yeah, man. EKLpro.com. You can play the video game at mindromes.com, MINDROMES. That's about it. I'm pretty low key on social media.
Yeah, I know. Whenever I see a post from you, I'm like, oh, he's my boy. He's out here.
Yeah, you know.
I'll just text you anyway.
Yeah, so that's it. If anyone needs clothes or artwork or
hit him up.
I don't
he does
know.
all of my merch. He's done the art dealer merch.
Yeah, it's fun.
He's done a lot of people's merch in the city.
It's fun. Thanks for having me, dude.
Thanks for coming on, man.
This is cool. Sweet.
This is Toney Boi. This is my man Suffix. And I'm tuning out, baby. Peace.
Peace.
3, 2, 1.